Hey, welcome to Is It Worth It? Where I'm gonna tell you if a game is worth your money. Today's candidate is No Man's Sky. As you are probably familiar with the release of No Man's Sky, I won't tell you the whole history. But if you don't, I recommend the internet historian's video about it. Very nice summary. But I'm gonna talk about today's 2024 No Man's Sky. So first off is the tutorial, which is by far the worst part of the entire game. Seriously, I have friends who quit the game because of the tutorial. It's just forcing you real hard to do things you don't even want to do. It's not even up to date with the whole game. But I recommend you push through it because once you have your hyperdrive in the game, it just gets way better and you are a lot less limited. So, if you want a quick answer, the game after the tutorial is kinda worth your money, but let me explain. $60 is just a lot of money if your daily drive isn't a Ferrari, so I really recommend to wait for the game to be on sale or pick like up a game key on some website for $20. I mean, I bought the game for $5 on a Steam sale because I just don't have $60 for this game, although it is worth that money, but you have to see for yourself if you can really spare that money. But let's talk features. What can you expect? Well, obviously, you are going to do a lot of exploration, flying, and farming. It's one of the only things that is like mandatory to enjoy this game. Almost all other activities are optional, so you better like flying and farming for hours on end. I'm just kidding, but you are gonna do a lot of that. But if you like exploration, this game is perfect for you, because you'll never have seen everything there is to see. There will always be more planets that you could ever discover. Although I'm describing this game as infinite, let's be real. At some point you will have seen everything that is worth seeing. But even then you are going to get around 400 to 500 hours of solid gameplay if you are really looking for everything that is unique and worth seeing. And with every update that Hello Games drops, there is more and more to see. And they are really delivering on these updates. The patch notes and new feature lists are longer than this entire script. That's the planned content for you, and there's the randomly generated content too, aka the planets. And here are the basics real quick. Planets are the size of real planets, which is giant, and they can be radioactive, freezing cold, burning hot, and so on. The climate is mostly based on the sun they are orbiting, ranging from orange to green. This also decides which minerals spawn on the planet and how expensive all the resources are that you can find on them. It also decides which animals live there. And then there's finally the structures, which randomly generate on every planet. There's no real pattern. But you see for yourself, it's pretty cool. But what about combat? Okay, so combat is divided into two categories. The good and the bad, aka foot and space combat. The space combat is exactly what you would expect from it. Sick barrel rolls, high-speed chasings, and shields and overpowered weapons, where you can control on what your ship should focus. Like directing the whole energy to the shields, which makes you tanky but weak, or you could focus the whole energy to the weapons, which makes your weapons more deadly, but your ship more fragile than a glass bottle. You get the point. It's very fun if you're on third person, or first person if you like to vomit all over your keyboard. So your enemies are mostly going to be space pirates, or these drone spaceships or something, I don't know. Later you can even take on freighters of the space drone ships, or even civilian freighters if you are psycho. Which leads me to the next point, that your ship can be upgraded and modified in every way. There are certain ship types for the bases, and then you have the modification slots where you can install all kinds of upgrades. So you can focus on whatever you want. You want an exploration ship? Then you're gonna install a better nitro. you want a fighting ship, then you're gonna install more weapons. But it's limited onto your number of slots, so you can't have everything. Unless you get like an S tier really overpowered ship, then it can do pretty much anything. And then there's foot combat, which just plain out sucks. I mean, you aren't going to do it very often, luckily, because it's boring as hell. And the only real cool thing is that you can upgrade your weapon and customize it, but you are really only going to fight drones in this game, so it's not even worth it. So I just stay from it away if you don't need to do it. There's also the creative aspect of No Man's Sky, by far my favorite aspect. A less stressful one where it's just you, your multi-tool and the 30 hours of grinding you are going to do for your glass roof for your house. Yeah, that's right, you can build an house in this game. You can even build an entire colony. So turn your green heaven planet into an industrialized smog hole. Or build a dream house at the lake, your choice. But building is a really well done aspect of this game, whether it be your base, customizing your spaceship, or customizing your multi-tool, which I already touched on. There's tons of options to express yourself and your weird ideas. Although let me give you a warning, getting into building isn't easy. To even be able to build, you first have to dig up tons of lost data to unlock all of the building modules. And then you have to farm nanite to unlock the crafting recipes for all the parts. Let me be clear, you only unlock the recipe, you will still have to grind for the actual materials, and you have to find the crafting materials. You may think to yourself, well, I'm just gonna loot the planet I'm living at. But no, you will have to visit multiple galaxies in which some resources are not even guaranteed. And then you can find your dream planet or a freighter to build your home at. I'm starting to think that buying a house in real life may be easier, but you do what you want. I'm not even gonna build a house, I'm an explorer. No, don't film that. So, from what I said, you guys may think, wow, this game is harder than Dark Souls. So, here's the thing, you can skip all the things I just said with one setting, the difficulty. But some people like pain, I mean, that's why Elden Ring is around. But yeah, difficulty. What are your options? You got peaceful, basically creative mode, where you don't have to worry about anything, just you and your ideas. Normal, grinding the game, so that's your standard mode, survival, grinding and all the things I just listed. And relax is exactly what it says. You don't have to worry about it as much, but you're not entirely careless either. And you can even make your own difficulty if you want to tweak the game exactly how you want to play it. I'd say that's pretty cool, because what game lets you make a custom difficulty? And finally, I'm gonna list a few features that make the game way better and more worth buying in my opinion. VR support. Yes, this game is entirely playable in VR. If you didn't get sick enough in first person, you can get even sicker with a box with two lenses in front of your eyes, lasering your sight. But no joke, if you have a VR headset, try this game. I'm not even asking anymore. It's one of the best VR games out there that has no end of replay value. I really recommend it. Quadruple A VR game. And secondly, there's unofficial flight stick support. Yes, you can play this game with a flight stick. It's even better if you combine it with VR. The only downside is that, like I said, that it's unofficial and only works on Steam VR to my knowledge. But check out the tutorial by Clasted Beaks, and of course you also have to buy a flight stick for this to work. It's a bit complicated, but it's worth the effort if you want to put in the effort and the money for a flight stick. So, In conclusion, I'd give this game an 8 out of 10. It's absolutely worth buying, but I'd rather buy it on a discount than for $60. It is worth that money, but it's still expensive. But nonetheless, it's one of the best space arcade games out there, and definitely the best exploration game all in general. If you can look over the little flaws I told you, and especially the tutorial, and even more especially the foot combat, it's absolutely worth it. And it's just gonna get better over the time. Hello Games is pumping out these updates in no time. Lastly, they added a new race to the game. It's really cool game. So, what would I say all in general? Is this game worth your money? Yes, this game is absolutely worth your money. If you have been thinking about getting this game, I'd say you should just get it. You won't really regret it. And it's even better if you play with your friends. So, subscribe so I can finally buy a Mustang. And I'll see you on the next time when you're asking yourself if a game is worth your money. Goodbye.